everybody. The moment you've all been waiting for all off season. Borger is back, baby. Borger is back in a big way this year. So during this off season, BNN has proudly put together a new show for everybody here in the league with cooperation of some managers. However, that show is not ready to roll out yet, and we can't rush perfection. So look for that and look for coming attractions for that this fall. What we have here today is a real treat, is really great. We have a special presentation, special guest. Most of you have never met before. We also have our very own Kieran McShane doing a live segment from abroad. And we have our old pal and trusty old host, Tyler Gallagher, with his weekly rundown awards. So I think we're in pretty good shape. And hope everybody enjoys today's show and enjoys the season. Big week 2, and that's what we got.
Welcome back to another season of Borger Cafe, and welcome back to another season of Tyler's Rundown. I'm your host, Tyler Gallagher. Let's get straight to the awards. Your first woo of the season, surprisingly, goes to Ayahuasca Healing with a whopping 147.02 points. Wild. Your first oof of the season, Wayne's fantasy football team, step up your game. 68.86, ain't gonna cut it in this league. Our first you got robbed of the year goes to Game Plan McMahon, scoring a respectable 119.96 points and still coming out with the loss to Bed Bath and Beyond. Next up, our laugher of the week. It's gonna go to the Gasps, taking out Wayne's fantasy football team by 58.42 points. And our nail biter, the Bed Bath & Beyond game, taking out Game Plan McMahon by a measly 6.52 points. Finally, our bonus stats of the week. Theme this week, it's a new year. First off, do we have 2 new divisional powerhouses? Our 2 worst records of last year, Ayahuasca Healing and Red Zone Grenade, formerly known as American Gucci, coming out with the 2 top scores of the week. Maybe Cheese South and Pickle East have new competitors. Next up, 3/4 of the semifinalists from last year, that being My Birds of War, Taints, and Wizards of Loneliness, finish with less than 100 points and lose their opening game. More changing of the card? I'd like to think we can step it up. And finally, half of the games this week had over 50-point differentials. This is a league that prides itself on competitiveness, and I'd like to see a little more parity moving forward. Finally, my matchup of the week, it's going to be my Birds of War against the Wizards of Loneliness. 2 once proud franchises starting off the season slow, trying to get off the schneid. And that's going to wrap it up for our rundown of the week. See you all in week 2.
Welcome to our first installment of A Closer Look, where we dive into some of the meatier storylines of the season. I don't think it's any surprise that this week's topic is going to be the Taints Red Zone matchup and the implications it can have for the league going forward. Let's put these 2 under the microscope. It's no secret that Taints and Red Zone, formerly American Gucci, had a somewhat lopsided rivalry last season. But is the former basement dweller trouncing the defending champ in Week 1 a sign of a sea change at Borger? No. It's a test. It's a test to see if Taints can keep his momentum up after half a year off, sure, but it's mostly a test to see if Romain can stop himself from resting on his laurels after Week 1, after what might be a fluke, and ending up in 12th place again this year. Still a lot of football left to play.
Wow, guys. Super pumped on this next segment over here. Never in a million years thought I would have landed this guy. Credentials up the butt, and very honored to have him here talking to us today in Borger Cafe. He is the recent two-time Bill Belichick Steals Money from Dead People champion. He is also a contributor to the Daily Texan and KVRX. Mr. Paul Costava, pleasure having you here today, and thanks for joining us here on the Commish Chat on Borger Weekly. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I'm so honored to be on this show. I've been dying to be on it, trying to get access to it, and we finally aligned schedules, so I'm ready to talk some football with you, Pat.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, we've been really trying to make it happen for a bit. Third season of Borger. We have two champions. First week just started up. Everything is getting real contentious really fast. So having your mind over here, this is going to be very helpful. And thanks again. So look, in a general scope of things, I really want to just get your lay of the land. We gave you access. We gave you access to all of our numbers, our books, our past draft that just happened. And without even getting too deep first, tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of balance out there. There's no one team I looked at and said, this is the team that's going to win it all right now. Thought there was a huge balance out there. Another note I want to make, and I'm going to talk about this later, is y'all love your quarterbacks. Some teams had upwards of 3 to 4 quarterbacks. Are you kidding me? It's a 12-team league. I think even 2 is a stretch.
Yeah.
Roll your one quarterback. I mean, if you have Jordan Love, it's good to have the second one right now. But I saw some teams that I'm going to talk about later that had 3 quarterbacks, and I'm like, oh my god, that is crazy.
I do agree that we probably got a little QB heavy. Even at the draft over there in Atlantic City, first quarterback goes, everyone seems to feel like they're never going to see a quarterback again. Everyone starts socking up.
And that's where I saw the most variance in scores this week, right?
Keep away and trade bait too. Sorry to interrupt, but keep away and trade bait. And a lot of these managers out there, they're playing hard, fast, like tough ball out there. You know what I mean?
Well, if you're going to do that, I mean, I see one team like Taints right now has 2 quarterbacks that scored them over 30 points. So if you're in need of a quarterback, that's a team to go to right now. You got Baker Mayfield on his bench. Now's the time to buy on him if you want to, or if I'm Taints, I'm going to sell him as quickly as I can. Back in my day, I had Matthew Stafford and Phillip Rivers on a team, and it's playing the matchups. It can be beneficial, but you also second guess yourself, as you mentioned, Pat. Right? There's going to be times you're going to start Phillip Rivers and Matthew Stafford has a better game. So it's a dangerous game to play where you obviously want to get the elites if you can, but as Wayne can attest to, the elites don't always do it for you. Joe Burrow scored him about, I think it was 6 or 7 points this week. FFT didn't make it turned out to be the wrong choice, but I see his thinking.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray's playing on the road against Buffalo, where Cincinnati with Burrows is home against New England. You figure that's going to be an easy win. But now he's going to have a tough decision. Do you believe in Burrows yet, who just admitted that he didn't feel comfortable out there right away?
Yeah.
Said he felt a little uneasy, not uneasy, but a little jittery out there. So Wayne's going to have a tough choice out there. Who do you start every week also? But I think you got to ride Murray for a little bit and hope that probably the dud draft pick I've seen in this league steps up, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. Are you kidding me? He was picked 4th overall, and if they picked anyone else, Game Plan McMahon picked anybody else, he probably would have won this week. He only lost by about 7 points.
Yeah, tough one.
And Marvin Harrison Jr. gave him 0.9 points. I expect Harrison to be better than that.
Right.
But also 4th overall. And I know you have keepers, so that makes things different. You're not getting McCaffrey at 4. I get all that stuff.
It may have been an emotional decision.
Is that what you're saying, Pat? Oh, you're just speculating.
I'm speculating. Phil, the manager over there for Game Plan, real student of the game, appreciates good young talent and stuff, and maybe there was an emotional decision, somebody he wanted to watch. I'm just speculating over there or something.
And you know what, Pat? This is not the only league to do this. A lot of leagues have been really bumped up on the rookie receivers, and they were terrible in week 1, with the exception of my fellow Longhorn alum, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah. Hell of a game over there.
Yeah, most of the rookie receivers this year have not been good right away, which is typical. That's not an anomaly in any way. Yeah. But we're expecting to have Justin Jefferson be as what he was like as a rookie. We're expecting all these stud rookies to come out, but receivers take time to develop. And I think the league, not just your league, a lot of leagues were banking on these guys, Odunze, Marvin Harrison Jr. to be really good, and it's probably going to take them a little more time to do that.
Fair. Yeah, no, I hear that. Hey, listen, Paul, and just to put a period actually on the quarterback thing, I think, having that 2 quarterbacks, situation, that would be great for a super flex league, right? Like where you get the option of one of your flexes being a quarterback. I've thought about that. Have you ever played in a league like that? Like running 2 quarterbacks?
Yeah, and it really skews the value of quarterbacks because if you don't get a good second quarterback, you're done.
Yeah.
I was in an auction league where you got bonuses for over 300 yards, and you didn't get points for yards unless you hit 300, and you got exponential points for length of touchdowns. So a 98-yard touchdown was worth exponentially more than a 2-yard touchdown. It was a crazy league, but you had to get 2 quarterbacks. If you got a schlep as your second quarterback, no dice. You were dead.
No dice, not working.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me a little bit more about, you were looking into the draft. Any other standouts in the draft? Harrison going 4th for sure in the first. Game Plan over there. Big thing. Anything in the keepers, in the way of keepers that you didn't like, that you had some really, maybe had some really good value over there for a manager keeping them?
I don't know if anyone stands out, Pat. I felt like there was a lot of good value in general with keepers.
Well, it just made the draft so much more difficult, right? Because it was about the top 30 players were already off the board before we hit round 1. And there were some trades last year, reflected and stuff like that. So it had, it really seemed like you had to plan your approach pretty specifically this year with the draft. Keepers is a new thing for this league, for myself included.
And that changes the way I look at the draft, right? Like you have a guy like Derrick Henry going 3rd overall is a high position for him.
Touchdown monster, so
potentially, but he's on linguine with muscle, and I see him eating more linguine this year than muscles right now. I like Derrick Henry. I got him in a league, but I'm not nuts about him at number 3 overall. But with that said, with the structure of your league, it might be the best running back to get at that point because Bijan was kept, CMC was kept there, so Breece Hall was kept. He was great value, so you really couldn't pick those guys in the top 3.
So, Paul, let me ask you, team to look out for coming up this year, this next coming week, something that jumps off at you. What do you think?
Well, a team I thought was kind of a dud this week, but has some potential there. Like, I would not sleep on them, is WFFT. They just had a terrible week. They scored 68 points, but they were projected for 124. So that's a huge variance. That's half their points they scored. And they had some big duds that I think are going to be better this year. Guys I really like. Like, I think Burrow, or if you want to start Kyler Murray, he's fine there.
Yeah.
You have Drake London, Olave, Mostert's hurt right now, and Metcalf all had sub-5 scores. That's not going to happen all year.
True.
Well,
let me ask you a question. Taints and WFFT actually have a matchup coming up in week 2. That's going to be, I know Taints is going to be ready to try to make a comeback after getting smacked around a little bit week 1. I know WFFT,
I love it.
Just like not having a good week at all, 68 points. So, I know both teams are going to really want to get down in the mud. And it sounds like WFFT does have some bounce back potential. I mean, Taint Squad is pretty top tier over there too. So I'm looking forward to that one. Sure.
Yeah, I think Taints right now though has the star power. As I look at their team, I mean, Josh Allen has a great matchup against the Dolphins. That's going to be a high scoring game. CeeDee Lamb is a stud. He dealt with an off week from Cooper, and that's kind of a big question mark for him. Is Amari Cooper going to bounce back with the massage therapist, Deshaun Watson, who really isn't doing is just not good right now?
True.
Like, if Deshaun Watson is not good, then Cooper has no value.
Yeah.
Straight up.
But
another thing that Wayne...
The guy had one good season 4 years ago or something. I'm like, this guy, it's tough already with this guy. I don't even know what the play is.
I don't like him as a person. And also... he demanded this. I mean, and Cleveland has nowhere to go with this. On a football standpoint, Cleveland has nowhere to go. All his money's guaranteed for the next 4 to 5 years. So there's no easy out for them if he's terrible. The only out for them, and this is my conspiracy theory in all this, is they're going to get him hooked up. They're going to get him knocked off because, with the massage stuff, they'll get out of the contract somehow. Because he just abused another woman in 2020. The reports are coming out about it.
Oh, I hadn't heard about this latest thing, though.
Yeah, so after that start, another accusation came out, which is probably true, but I think Cleveland's going to use it to their advantage somehow.
Yeah, maybe it's time to make a play on this guy. This isn't the right person for a professional organization.
Correct. Yep. One team that did really well last week, though, the Ayahuasca Healing, 147.02. They had a monster week from Jaden Reed and Mixon. And their kicker scored him 21 points.
Yeah.
You can't ask for... And then, this is the guy, though, I got to say,
Booty,
you
right?
got to give up one of those quarterbacks. He has Tua. I can't remember the other two off the top of my head. I think it was Tua, Geno Smith,
Dak Prescott,
which I thought that was a good move, not starting Prescott against Cleveland, starting Tua. I thought that was a smart move, but that's a lot of star power at quarterback. You don't need Geno Smith right now.
Sure, dude.
So,
yeah,
two teams that should be looking for quarterbacks right now, because their quarterbacks combined for less than 20 points last week.
Tell me.
Wizards of Loneliness and Jemima Redux. Less than 20 points. Caleb Williams. I know you believe in Caleb Williams, Jemima, but you know what? Rookie quarterbacks don't do well. And I believe in Aaron Rodgers for my own sanity, Wizards of Loneliness. That's Corey over there. But you know what? You might need another quarterback in there to kind of hold you over.
Might want to go talk, to fucking ayahuasca across town,
Let's get the trade lines open. It's
open. It is open right now for sure.
One final thought, Pat.
Tell me.
Your best matchup last week was Linguini with Muscles against New York Football Gordons. What a barn burner. Yeah. And I know RJ came... Linguini must have come in feeling good.
Yeah.
Coming into Monday night. Thinking, all RJ got is a kicker. Not a big deal. He's facing a good defense. Even if he scores 10 points, I got this on lockdown.
Moody.
26 points with the big last-minute win for him. Talk about some good stuff right there.
Absolutely, yeah. That was really, really fun to watch. I was rooting out that this guy was... How many 50-pluses did he have? And I think
he had 2.
Oh, man. But, yeah, he was at it all night. And watching New York football Gordons keep on ticking up and up. It was,
Mhm.
yeah, the chat was lit up. You know, they have actually, as managers, they have had some real battles. Linguini and New York football Gordons, they'll tell you as much themselves. But oh man, yeah, it's never a dull moment with them two for sure. But listen, Paul, I can't even thank you enough again. I know you're really busy down in Charlotte making things happen and scouting linebackers, taking care of business. But
A lot of stuff. One request I have from you, Pat.
please,
Matthews, I know, are not in the same division. If they ever do face off, they need to make an agreement that the loser of that matchup has to change his name legally. That's
okay.
all I ask.
Okay, that's a really good one. Well, listen, man, we're gonna go hot with this video. This is getting pumped out to Borger Nation. So once that happens, anything could be possible. You know, you've had some great insights, so maybe they'll take a suggestion or two. And I'm sure. You know.
Thanks for having me, Pat. This is fun.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. You're the best, dude. And have a great day.
You too.